Hey everybody, and welcome to another movie review over on the MN Viking Zombie Twitch and YouTube channel. Today we're talking about The Trip, which is a Norwegian film over on Netflix. And I don't quite know how to categorize this. I'll call it maybe a home invasion movie. I don't know, but we'll talk a little bit more about that. With me, as usual, I've got Kyle Smith. How's it going today?
What's up, man? It's going great. I'm off today. I hope you're doing well. We did our football podcast last night, which was a lot of fun. Now we're going to do some movie reviews on Adam's channel.
It's been a
And
little
I was
while. It's
just,
nice to be back doing this.
yeah, I'll take full responsibility for that. Been moving around doing a bunch of fun stuff, but um, this was fun. I picked this movie out. I'm not going to say it was my absolute favorite, but if you've watched any of our reviews before, you will see that we have our certain things that we like. And I, for one, if I'm going to watch a horror movie, I like really, really intense scenes and I like gory stuff. It's just been a part of my childhood forever. And that's kind of where I wanted to start with this movie. There were some unique kills and some Jason Voorhees style resilience here because these people took some damage and
Oh,
they
yes.
just kept on trucking.
So, yeah, this is the story of a couple. I believe were they Norwegian or Swedish couple in the movie?
I'm trying to get it here from the plot. I don't remember. I
Because I
feel
know
like
that when they
it's
were playing Scrabble, he wouldn't accept a Norwegian word, right?
right.
So yeah, I'm not sure, but this couple's having some marital problems. He's a weirdo that's been inaffectionate, and she's an actress that's failing and can't land a job, and she's cheating on him with a partner, and his business as a director is going down the tubes, and they're struggling to make ends meet, and they both come up with this interesting idea to try to kill each other and cash in on their life insurance. Which, I mean, it's a little extreme, but I guess if money is that big of a part of your life, that maybe you'd try this. I don't know.
That's what drew me in when Adam and I select films. Try to find something that jumps off the screen. And I'll be honest, I didn't even watch the preview. When I saw that, it made me laugh so hard because everything that Adam just said. Hey, these guys are struggling. They secretly, without the other person knowing, are going to plan to kill the other person. But the great thing about that was it all goes to crap because there's some other people in the mix that they don't know about. And I thought that was clever. There's not a lot here that's based in reality, but if everything lined up the way the movie said, this is possible, which is kind of cool. Um, there was some far fetched stuff in here, but it was really funny. Their bickering is top notch.
Oh yeah, but one of the things that I guess spoiler alert from here on out, anything you hear from here is probably going to be something that ruins the movie for you a little bit. So if you haven't seen this yet, go watch it and come back, or just know that you're going to be spoiled. So here it comes. The couple goes out there, and the man is the first one to try to execute his plan. He apparently wanted to cut her up and put her pieces in the lake like Dexter Morgan.
Very intricate, solid plan to get rid of most of the evidence. But if there's such a comedic element to this film because apparently he's what's the word I want to hear, Sarah? I don't want to be
Queasy?
yeah, I think by old Vietnam era veteran vocabulary standards, he would be what we consider soft or a little bit more not as tough of a man who's going to go through with such a brutal, gruesome, and gory execution, which we find out later. Their gardener, I think, their handyman was going to help.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I love that. I love that they were just going to both use him to do the dirty work and. Yeah, what an elaborate plan there.
Yeah, so of course that plan does not go well, and things get turned around when he discovers that he was going to be offered more money by her, and that he was shortchanging the guy that he hired, who said he was going to give half the life insurance to, which that's a lot of money. But I suppose, cutting up a human, you should probably make a little bit of cash off that.
Yeah, that's not exactly mulching. That's quite a chore. Adam's referring to their handyman, which is hilarious. The male in the film, his name is Askell Henny. He plays Lars. Lars offers their handyman 500 grand. I believe is what the translation was. Now, spoiler alert too. I am not a fan of these, but I seem to keep picking them.
You've As soon as you
Voiceover.
picked it, I told you I was surprised that you picked another foreign film.
It's voiceover stuff. This is good for me. It's becoming less and less annoying. Once I realized at the beginning, it didn't bother me as long as the movie went on. And I think to a credit to this film, it actually kept me interested very much all the way through. But yeah, it's offering says, "Hey, I'm going to give you half the life insurance, 500,000." And while his wife is tied up, she's like about to get a sock stuffed in her mouth. And she's like, "Hey, you know the life insurance is $3 million, right?" And oh, that was so funny. I was like, this is so I don't know. I don't know why some certain things just click for me and the things that I like. But that was hilarious because I'm like, this is I mean, of course, you're gonna hire someone to do your dirty work, and of course you're gonna shortchange them. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you just give him half? You're also gonna not pay him enough.
But while we're talking about these characters, we've talked about the opening of the film where they were developing the characters, and I got to say that it pushed me because it got to the point where they were kind of messing with these characters in a way that I wasn't really too interested with. And by the time they actually got to the point where they were starting to do the killing or attempted killings, I was so ready for the movie to do something else. So I don't know if that's a credit to the film for knowing where that line is, or whether it's just me being an impatient movie fan. But the beginning of that film with the steak dinner and the movie set and the conversations at the house, I know some of those were just for flashback purposes to
Yep.
remind you of what the gardener or pool boy or whatever he was doing. And there's a friend of the girl that she was talking about the strategy with. I get where it all ties in, but as you're watching it for the first time at the beginning of the movie, it just feels like it drags for a while, especially that car trip. And oh,
You know what? I'm going to agree with you on everything you said there. I feel like um, I'll just say it out loud. I like this movie. I don't love it. I don't know that I'll ever watch it again, but I think the people who they picked out for these movies, first of all, I got your name again, Askell. I mean, I don't know if it's just me because I'm a huge Bill Burr fan, but it messed me up every time I'd look away and come back because I saw glimpses of Bill Burr in this movie, and I'm like, it's not
see,
Bill
I was
Burr.
seeing Simon Pegg.
Okay, I guess it's the first thing that popped in my head. Yes, I definitely see that.
Although I
Numi,
guess that's not how he sees himself based on the movie adaptation of his.
that's funny. Lisa, the main female in the movie, Numi Rapasi, which is she did great. She's very beautiful and really sells. I think she kind of picked Lars up throughout the character development here because there was definitely a remorse there. There's a lot of anger from Lars, but there's just a resentment from her that I think she sold a little better than he did. But you're right. I didn't like the initial parts, but the thing that held it together for me, and I actually texted someone about this movie while I was watching it. I don't ever want to be in a relationship like that, man, where you're just constantly trying to find
No.
something to bicker about with your spouse and just put them down. And these two, their whole purpose in life up before finding out they were trying to off each other was I'm going to find a way to get under this person's skin today. And it was terrible. It made me uncomfortable. And I like that because it was believable.
Oh yeah, they were arguing about everything: the price of a bottle of wine, the cut of the meat. Uh,
Scrabble.
yeah, it was everything. It was absolutely everything. And if a relationship ever gets to that point, it's time to get out. But I suppose when you've been together for so long that you've got so many assets tied up in each other and everything, it feels like you can't escape without doing something drastic, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing I think too. Now that I'm saying it out loud, I always have these epiphanies through the movie, and this is fresh for me. I think for both of us, we both watched this film within the last 24 hours. Is the reality of certain parts of this movie, whether it's just a little pocket or a scene or a little whatever development of each character in there, but this is reality for a lot of people.
It
And I
is.
think that's what saved the beginning for me because I'm right there with you. I didn't like the beginning. I thought some of those scenes, the acting wasn't that well, or it was kind of okay. I get you're trying to tell me about the movie, but I'm not really interested. Like him at the hardware store, and he's just looking around. I'm like, dude, if you're putting that on a credit card, like you and I are smart enough to think like, hey,
Right.
the killer's outside. Don't run upstairs in the house. Like, find the nearest car and get away, or something like that. You know, I'm thinking, wear a hat or something, man. You try to disguise yourself.
So now that you're mentioning this, we kind of got to touch on it because this is a home invasion movie in some respects because there are some people hiding in that house, and they are not good people. They seem to be escaped prisoners who have done some very terrible things, and they go quite far to show you that these are terrible people. And yeah, I mean, at some point during this film, there's that switch that flicks, and you say, okay, it's no longer him against her. It's them against these escaped prisoners. And that light switches, at least for me, when she's willing to say that she's going to give cash in exchange for keeping her husband from being sexually assaulted.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool little homage to what they were bickering about before, about how she's a terrible actress, because she made him believe that. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, maybe it's just a Christmas spirit here, but I'm like, you guys are as dumb as Marvin Harry from Home Alone. If you think you're hearing how she's an actress, like she doesn't have any money for you.
Also, the way that he was kind of excited for her to get a revenge after she's been cheating on him.
Yeah.
And how he was kind of like saying, oh, you're going to love it. You know, the bickering the way they used to. And it's a little surprising that she chose that route, considering he was really being a jerk about the whole thing.
Yeah. One of the most, and it gave me flashbacks of American History X. Anytime you see scenes in movies where there's about to be a sexual assault, it'll make you feel a certain type of way.
Oh, yes.
And you think it's going to be because Lars, let me see, and Lisa are sitting there. You think Lisa's about to get assaulted by these three men who just got out of prison. You think that it's going to be her, and Lars says, "Hey, good luck. Maybe you can please them." I remember the main villain said, "Man, you're a cold-hearted son of a bitch, man."
Oh yeah.
But unfortunately, my friend here is homosexual, so he's going to take that out on you now. You just see the tide turn, and you're like, "Oh my goodness, this is going." That's really, and honestly, I'm not advocating. We don't do that here on the show. We're not advocating for sexual assault, but
never
being entertained by a film, which we know is not in reality. I'm locked in because I'm like, I didn't see that coming.
and watching him just wiggle and squirm and fight. I mean, that part of that movie was entrenching. Laying on the ground, crying, and
he was so vulnerable and so scared. And
that scene was so well done in this movie.
Absolutely it was. The other thing, now that I'm thinking about it here, this is why I love doing this show with you, man. I get epiphanies of what's happening, and I realize after all the emotions and the dust settle, what happened here is the sequence of events that they have, pretty much like the beginning, slow, but it slowly gets better, in my opinion, in the movies. Now the dust is settled, they've made a deal, and they have to sit there with themselves. And that's something that I think is crucial the older I get, when you see a movie where you're having to sit with your thoughts, you're tied up, and you're like, how the hell are we going to get out of this? We've got to be sneaky. We've got to be quiet. And I thought it was a pretty smart plan. Now, do I think in real life that it would have been executed that way? Probably not. Hopefully these criminals aren't that stupid, but the plan to hit him over the head with some pool balls, and I've got to go to the bathroom, it's a number 2, this kind of thing. I'm like, that could work.
And he ended up shoving the pool balls up his butt. So it's still not great.
There's some interesting stuff in this movie. We'll talk about like kill scenes or gore scenes or whatever, because there's not a lot of actual death. But
and what we're talking about, these escaped prisoners, they each had an interesting charisma to them. The one that was supposed to be smart and seemed like the leader, he was really an interesting, not only looking guy, but the way he talked and the way he handled himself was really interesting. And then you had like the token Aryan Nazi guy, which, again, kind of a cheap way to draw some heat, but it's easy. It's definitely an easy way to do it. And I say it every movie review we do. the Nazi thing is an easy way to get someone to dislike a character or put in a situation that most people can rally around really easily, and it happened again.
It did, and this particular character that you're talking about, he was very big, very strong, and muscular. He was kind of like the big dumb jock of this film. Very muscular, very strong, but not very smart. And he had very much like an elementary type of I don't want to say education, but a very much an elementary kind of the way he spoke. You could tell that he was the muscle of the group because he's not really good for much else.
I will say that the way they set up him having to poop in the attic for it just to fall on the other guy's face later on
was hilarious.
That was a build that I when it happened, I was like, really? They set this all up just for that?
It's fun that it's fun that they could tie it in that way because it's the first thing I thought of. And like, you know what? This happened. I shot a hole in the roof and it fell on my face, and I'm probably not feeling well because it hurt a little bit. But now there's his doo doo on my face from a couple of days ago, and that's the crazy thing too. Like they show those little parts of, man, I'm freezing up in the attic. It's like, oh, are you cold? Like, get over it. We're gonna have to figure out how to get through here so we don't get caught. It's just so funny because the little things that tied in there, but there's a lot of there's so many different characters in this film too. We haven't spoken about the father yet in this movie.
Yeah,
the
each
old man
character
is
is
in a
so
nursing home.
unique.
I liked him a lot for the the old gritty Clint Eastwood attitude of, hey, I'm going to come back and have one last hoorah, and then tying it into the hammock. I mean, that's such a funny old man kind of stern thing to happen, but he pulled it off well, and he took a beating in this movie. What a hard way to go out.
A little bit of homophobia from the old man, but
Yeah.
And he definitely doesn't understand technology, which I thought was kind of funny because this movie does have those little hints of humor, and they are dark. The moments of humor are dark, but they are there, and they can make you laugh. Like when the fish hooks go in the guy's face and everything, and
it's just hanging like jewelry.
It's just weird, but yeah, there's definitely gore in this movie if you like the gore.
Mm-hmm.
The situations that came up were absurd and unlikely to happen the way that they probably should, but there were some nice scenes. Some of the best ones came with the main character, the male lead, when he was trying to sneak down the steps to help out his wife when she was being cornered by the Nazi guy. And that scene alone with trying not to make the floor creak, that was some funny stuff too.
That was very funny. Man, I'm just thinking about all the brutal stuff that happened. There's tussles, and just the idea of Lars, the main male character in this movie, the husband, of him being, kind of weak-stomached and kind of soft, but I want to go through with these horrible plans. It's like how you manage to do it. He has to fight through and find some grit. He gets stabbed in the foot. He gets his poor face beat in so many times this movie. She hits him with the buttstock of the gun. He took a beating this movie, but he ended up they both ended up living, which is really funny if we're going to jump to the end real fast, because they ended up turning this into profit, which I thought was pretty funny. How they tied it together, you could have saw coming, kind of predictable, but for this movie, it works, in my opinion.
Now, while we're talking about the ending, we got to stop and talk about the boat, because not only was that scene on the boat pretty fun and interesting, but it also kind of left me wondering, because I wasn't sure at that point if she was going to pull him up when he had those rocks tied to his feet and he was falling, or whether she was going to let him go down in the water. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I wasn't sold at all, and they did a great job of the hanging on, because it was pretty long. It's between 5 and 10 seconds, and she's thinking about it. You can tell she's thinking about it. But I think at the end of the day, Lisa, the character Lisa, finally says, you know what, we've been through all this. He's tried to help me. He's got me this far. I think she realized, okay, we can put this aside. And it's funny, too, because they talk about it. I like that this movie let them talk about it, because they're sitting there like, yeah, we might have won, but we're still screwed. Like, we don't have any money, and we almost died. But they figured it out. It's a little feel-good moment that I enjoyed. I wouldn't have been mad if it went the other way.
No, and it definitely left it open to where if you weren't sure what was going to happen, that you were kind of staring at the screen wondering if she was going to let go or pull him up. And honestly, I'm a little surprised she did pull him up. But
Same.
for the end, the happy Hollywood ending to the movie was corny, but it was fun. It was a great ending to a movie that I thought was a little bit more of a comedy invasion movie than it was a horror movie. So yeah, I don't know if this totally fits like what we had done previously with slasher movies and ghost movies and whatever that movie was with the guy, the big alien thing in the basement. I don't know, but yeah, this one, it was charming.
Yeah.
Once I got past that opening hump of the character development and establishing that these two just aren't compatible at all, really, right now, seeing them band together and kind of reignite that flame while they figured out how to make their money back, and it was really fun. Now, I will ask this because I'm not 100% sure on this. At the end of the movie, they show them walking with they're holding hands in front of the paparazzi, and they're together on talk shows. But do you think they actually got back together?
I'm going to say yes, because I think their dreams finally came true, and the money was such a big. The money is kind of the metaphorical cinder block pulling them into the lake for this movie. They're going under, and they're blaming one another in certain spots where they're both not wrong, but it's it's an equal parts blame game in this movie. But I think yes, because they get to do what they want. She gets a leading role. This movie's going to sell because it's a true story, mostly. And I love that's my favorite part at the end. It goes, and that's exactly how it happened, which was not at all how it happened at all, which is hilarious. But it's typical Hollywood. They're going to church it up to make it cooler and, the way that everyone's going to like to see it. But I think they did because they got what they wanted. And who better than to say, okay, look, I'm the director. I'm going to have my say in this, but you're the lead and you're an actress. Now you're going to be the lead actress in your own movie about your own life. I'm assuming that they did.
So yeah, I mean, this movie, I don't know if it'd be one that I would rewatch if someone said, "Hey, do you want to watch this movie with me?" I would watch it again with someone else, but I probably wouldn't watch it on my own again. Then again, I don't rewatch a lot of movies, so to me, that's not really an insult to this movie. But the fact I was able to sit down and enjoy this the first time through, get some laughs, get some really cool scenes of gore, even if there were some technical issues with this movie. Some of the cinematography seemed a little off. The audio, you could hear the microphone that the wife was wearing getting tugged on at times. And those issues were there. They were definitely there. But for what this movie was and what it tried to do, I thought it was successful.
Right. It's not going to win any Oscars, and it's not going to be up for any Academy Awards, but
it's not going to hit the world like Squid Game did.
Oh, man. That took over for a little while. Great memes, too. Yeah, I apologize to anyone that watches this channel and what's up on Twitch. I like holes. That's funny. I like that emoji you have there, too. Looks like a robot. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry I picked out 2 in a row that are in the comedy realm, but if you go under Netflix, this is definitely under the horror genre. I wanted something new. We try to pick out newer movies here. We'll do some throwbacks for sure, I'm sure, in the future, but this is relevant. It's 2021, and I mean, Adam and I are both slasher fans. We like horror, and we love a little bit of violence, so you got that here. And I guess we probably won't talk too much longer about the movie. Let's talk about some of these scenes, because I saw something today that was super interesting. I haven't seen in any horror movie, and man, what a brutal way. The lawnmower scene got me, man. I was like, that would be a terrible way. That would be extremely painful for you to get hurt. And the old man, he didn't die instantly from it, which is even worse. He had to sit there and suffer with that. But basically, main villain in this movie has a bright idea of poor Lars. It's just a punching bag the entire film. He's going to flip a lawnmower upside down, a push mower, and he's going to push his face into it. And I got to give credit. That's some creative stuff.
One of the times that I got a really good laugh out of this film, too, was when the man that lived near the cabin and was going to get the meds called his dad to tell him that he drove by the house and the door was open and he was a little worried about foul play. And he did exactly what so many of my friends up here in the Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin area do. They open by just talking about things that are not related to what they want to talk about at all. He could have just said, I drove by your cabin, the door was open, and I was worried something was going on. But no, instead you got this longer dialogue about him being out of pills and how he decided to take a trip to the store because they were open late. And it was all these details that you get and then start completely unnecessary. And you're sitting there watching this and you're like, okay, all right.
You know, you're talking about when the neighbor calls, correct?
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. And that was fun because what I enjoy too, it doesn't have to happen in every movie, but movies that do this particular sequence of events always keep me interested because it makes stuff make sense that I haven't seen or had questions about before. So when the father pulls up the old man, you're like, how the hell did he know how to get here? And then they do the flashback. And I love how grumpy he was in the nursing home. He's getting calls and he's like, who the hell is this? What do you want? And the dialogue you're talking about is hilarious. So yeah, man, now that we think of it, there's a lot of comedy in this movie.
Yeah, one of the major things from this movie was they would show you something, then flash back to how that was set up. So they played with time a little bit, but the way they did it was entertaining enough to where you really didn't mind it.
Right.
They didn't stick on those flashbacks for too long. They just did it to explain what was going on and how it got to where it was. And honestly, the way the screenplay was written, you can tell that it was tight and concise and just exactly the way they wanted it to flow when it was filmed. And honestly, I was impressed with that.
Well, you usually ask me this, but I'll ask you and flip it around. On your horror movie scale, 1 to 10, what did you give this movie? What did you like about it? In a nutshell for people as we wrap it up, what did you not like? And we already know, we both agreed, probably not a rewatch for us, but not bad.
No, I was entertained. I guess I don't know if I would particularly put this in the horror genre.
Mm-hmm.
Because as far as scary moments, sure, there are some moments that are kind of scary, but perhaps the gore of some of the situations elevates this into a horror category. Overall, I might not have watched this just because of, and I hate to do it, don't judge a book by its title, but The Trip is a terrible name for a movie.
100%. Yep.
And I don't know what the original title, if that's a direct translation for the original title, I don't know. If it was called The Trip originally in Norwegian, but
original title, and I don't know this, so I don't know what language this is in, but I Onde Dagger, letter I alone, ONDEDAGER. So, and that's on the promo poster,
right? Yeah, so I don't know what the original title was, but The Trip to me just that title doesn't draw me in. I looked at the card for the movie, and the promo has just two beaten up people, a husband and wife that are all bruised, and it's like, all right, I guess this probably isn't one that I would have picked on my own, but I'm glad you picked it because, like I said, I probably wouldn't have chose to watch this one on my own, and the fact that I did watch it makes me happy. So I think an 8 might be a little high for this. I'm thinking a 7 might be a little low. So let's kind of split the difference to the 7.5.
That is a little bigger and higher of number than I'll give it, but I have to say it. It was entertaining, and I'm gonna know it now going forward. I'll have to pick things that I have to do a little more research when I make a pick. But this is one of the ones where just throw a dart on the board and see where it lands. This isn't the worst one we've done, and I'm happy.
Oh, not even close.
I'm so happy it wasn't a bummer to do this movie. I'll give it a 6.5. Entertaining. I like the comedic element. I really like the flashback scenes, and like you just mentioned, I love that they weren't too long. Credit to these people. They took a beating in this movie. It's not very realistic, but man, it was funny and entertaining. So not bad. I'll end it with that too. The better name next time. The Trip is really bland.
Yeah, those foreign movies, they don't get a choice of their their titles, so we can't hold that against them too much. So, but yeah, I enjoyed this movie. I do recommend you check it out, especially if you're into horror with a little bit of comedy. I love horror comedy. Perhaps that's why I'm a little bit higher on the film scale for rating than you are. But I just I wasn't sure if I'd like this movie, and I'm glad that when I sat down to watch it, I got some laughs. I got to see some gory scenes, got to see some good acting, got to see some fun characters that all felt unique. And honestly, when I sit down to criticize this movie, aside from some of the technical issues I talked about, I don't have much I can pick apart.
Absolutely. I'm not going to name names. You can go back in our catalog here on Adam's channel and find one of the ones we did over the summer. It was one of the ones we were pretty brutal about. I'll give you a hint. Felt like things were just kind of blotched together. It's a Netflix movie. That's probably the worst one we've done so far, in my opinion. This is about twice as good as that film. It kept us entertained. So
For sure.
yeah, it's luck of the draw. This wasn't a bad one. I'm glad that I got to spend an afternoon with something that I didn't hate.
Yeah, and on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up. We haven't made a decision on the next movie that we're going to watch. We'll probably sit down and try to figure out which one to do next, but hopefully we can get a few more of these out over the next few weeks and have a little bit of fun with this. Again, these will be going live on my Twitch channel and my YouTube, which are MN Viking Zombie, so you can check those out as well. Where can people talk to you?
Oh, let's put the banners up here. You can find Adam at all of these sites. I know some of these aren't the movie review stuff, but we have these preloaded. But MN Viking Zombie is all you need. Twitch and YouTube, and I think Instagram as well.
TikTok and everything. I'm there.
Had to turn. I think I told you guys this before. I had to turn my badge just off on my phone because I won't look at it if I don't see something is there for me to be read. I'll spend so many hours on TikTok. It's dangerous. If you guys want to follow me and shout out and be my internet friend, you can find me there at NC Dog Dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah, on that note, thanks again for tuning in. You can find the full catalog of movie reviews over on the MN Viking Zombie YouTube channel. If you want to hang out live, you can do so over on YouTube or on Twitch. And I appreciate everything that you guys are doing. If you have any ideas for movie reviews, make sure to hit us up. We will take any suggestion that you guys give. We have actually done a movie that we got a suggestion for, so I mean, why not?
Shoot your shot.
It's all you can do these days. On behalf of Kyle and I want to thank you again, and remember to stay bloody.